So today we're here working on a bar cooler. Plain is the cooler's not working. It's a little itty bitty Perlick guy. So just walking up, no evaporator fan motor, nothing yet. So we're gonna pull this thing apart, plug it in, and see what happens. So I just plugged it in. First thing I notice is there's a lot of water in the drain pan. That indicates to me that maybe it was iced up before they unplugged it. That's quite a bit of water. Then the next thing I notice is there's no, I don't know this particular box, but there's no wicking material in that drain pan to help evaporate the water faster. But that may be how this box is. Looking at the compressor right here, this unit takes refrigerant 134A. Another thing that jumps out at me was we had a service call on this unit 2 months ago where it had a plugged up condenser. So we cleaned it and the unit came down to temperature. Another fear that I have though is that since this is R134A, it's got POE oil and it's a capillary tube system. And if any of you guys know, 134A with POE oil and cap tube systems plug the cap tubes quite often after lack of maintenance or dirty condensers. So we will see, but there's no pressure ports on this guy, so we're going to let it run for a few minutes and see what happens. So after investigating a little bit more, I've just got some thermometers in the box right now. I did not put probes, refrigerant pressure probes. I'm just monitoring the cut in and cut out temperature of the box. I do notice that the door doesn't shut all the way by itself, so that's partially part of the problem, I believe. But just from the looks of it, it was iced up. The unit came down to temperature really fast, so I really don't suspect a refrigeration problem. So at this point, I don't see need to put refrigerant probes on there. Pressure probes, I should say. Right now I just have some temp clamps just to make sure really that I had a difference in suction and liquid. It was very hard to tell at first. So far the box is satisfied and I'm waiting for it to come back on, basically. So this is not looking too good. So far the box is coming all the way up to 42 before it's even turned on. So the unit has satisfied, and then I turn my thermometer on and I hit minimum maximum. So now I can see the minimum and maximum temperatures so far. And we're just looking at the max right now. I haven't seen the low. So basically when I turned it on it was 37, but it had already satisfied. So I'm going to watch the minimum maximum right now to see where it actually turns back on at, and then I'll look to see where the low is. So at this point it's actually looking like it might be an issue with the temperature controller, maybe intermittently working correctly. But we will see. We're still watching. It's just a waiting game. This box is taking forever for it to cycle. So it's really looking like a temperature controller issue. It was a pain in the butt, but I pulled the evaporator cover just to make sure it wasn't freezing up or anything. I don't see any abnormal icing patterns. Everything looks fine. The temperature controller just looks like it's going bad as the looks of it. But what's interesting is it doesn't use a coil sensing probe, which is kind of strange. It just uses an air probe. And also from the looks of it, from the pitch, it's using a supply air temperature sensor. That's another interesting thing, because this is the supply air coming out the top. So it just goes to show you there's always weird stuff in restaurants. Some of these manufacturers do some weird things. Regardless, I'm going to write this up as a bad temperature controller, and we'll see what they want to do.